Hi guys, Steve Carew here, Fulling Mill Technical Manager. I'm here in the beautiful hut at Carew Fishery and I'm going to tie some of Fulling Mill's top patterns using some of our new amazing fly tie materials. So if there's one saltwater fly, every saltwater fly angler should have in their box is the chartreuse and white clouser. So it's not a particularly difficult tie. But there is a few tricks to make it super durable, but it's absolutely the must-have pattern. So I'll show you how to tie it now. So you can choose pretty much any of your favourite saltwater hooks. This one happens to be a mustard, but I think for work we tend to tie on gamakatsu. So that's a size 2 hook. I've just got some chartreuse thread. So the first thing I'm going to do is show you guys the trick to tying on dumbbell eyes. So most people who will have fished with this fly will know the big thing is the eyes spin when the fly is finished. If you follow this method, I think it fixes it more securely than anything else. So first things first, just build up a little bump of tying thread. We need to build up 2 actually. So build up 1 little bump, just sort of figure of 8 over itself, and then leave a little gap and then do the same again. Another little bump. Okay. And then the eyes I'm going to use are it's just the Fulling Mill brass streamer eyes. So what we do is just put a little dab of super glue in between those 2 bumps of thread, and then we drop that dumbbell eye in between the 2 bumps. Then just make some little figure of 8 turns of thread. Make 10 or so, and then this is the trick. You then make some turns underneath the eyes. What that does is that sort of compresses the figure of 8 turns you've made, and it traps those eyes in between those little bumps of thread that you've made. When that super glue's gone off, those eyes are absolutely rock solid and cannot move. So that's the eyes in place. Just to sort of smarten it up, make it look a bit flashy, I've then got some wide pearl tinsel. Just tie that in behind the eyes, and then we're just going to make a little body and then figure of 8 that through the eyes. Just sort of gives it a little smart look. So just wind that down, then back up, and then we just figure of 8 that pearl tinsel through the dumbbell eyes and bring that over the top, trap that in place. Okay, so just cut off the waste piece, and then this is the bit that makes it absolutely bomb proof. Just take some UV resin. I'll just apply that to the body on that tinsel that goes over the top of the eyes. It seals all that tinsel up, makes it pretty bomb proof. So I've been using this fly quite a bit recently, fly fishing for bass on the south coast of England, fishing at night for bass. You can catch so many fish on one fly. The eyes don't move, the body doesn't get teared up. If you follow this procedure, it makes it a super durable fly. Okay, so that's all sealed. So you've got eyes properly fixed in place, nice durable body. Now it's the time to tie the wing. So the wing on Clouser Minnow is bucktail. And this is the new fully milled bucktail. So they're super high quality tails, dyed perfectly, and we've also we've got a special process that we apply to the hair, and it makes it perfectly straight. So you don't have any waste. It's all ready to use. It's a really nice product, real sort of premium bucktail product. So first things first, we just needed to tie the white part of the wing. So I actually tie Clousers in the lefty cray style. So all of the wing goes on the underside, which when the hook inverts sits on top. I think it's the best way to do it. So first things first, just take some white bucktail. So you will see you've got some long fibres and then you've got some short ones. You want to try and remove all the short ones. Otherwise it probably doesn't really matter, but they just stick out a bit. I tend to roll it around in my fingers and just see, is there a natural taper to that? And there is. So I don't really need to manipulate it any more than that. If I'd cut that bunch off and it was all the same length, you could fiddle with it to add a bit of a taper in, but I'm quite happy with how that is. So just cut the butts off. Much easier when you're tying with almost any type of hair is to cut it to length first. If you don't, you sort of tie it in, it goes everywhere, it's a right pain to cut. It's much easier just to cut it first. So just separate the hair, stick one side either side of the hook, and then we just tie that in. A couple of loosest turns and then wind down tight. Okay, and just try and make that nice and neat. Okay, so that's the tailing. Then for the flash, you could use almost anything here. It really doesn't matter. I've just got, it's kind of like a silver and pearl mix here. If you get it roughly to the length you want first, just makes life a bit easier. Just taper those ends up a little bit. Okay. Now, when you're happy with the length, I just fold that around the thread. Again, it's much easier with flash if you fold it around your thread and double it, rather than tie it in and cut off the waist butts. So I've just pulled that up to the head, and I'll just bind that down. Try and keep it nice and central, and then just pull it around the hook shank there. Okay, so that's a little bit long, so I just trim that back a little bit. Okay, now the overwing is chartreuse bucktail. As you can see, it's so nice and straight, this fully milled product. Really easy to use. Makes tying these flies so simple. So that when you're tying things like Clousers, ideally use the hair from up the top of the tail. This has less air in it. Doesn't flare quite so much when you tie it in. The hair down the bottom, that has a lot more air in it. When you pull down tight on it, it will flare. It's good for other fly patterns, but for the Clouser, you want to be using the hair up the top there. So again, roll that around in your fingers. See if there's a natural taper to it. Might introduce a bit more taper to that. When you're happy with it, just remove any of the little short fibres. And then what I like to do is just marry that up against what you've already tied in, and just make sure it's just, I would say, just a little bit shorter than the flash. So once again, cut the cut the bucktail to length, separate it so it goes around the hook shank, and then just tie that in. So again, I tend to tie that in with a couple of loosish turns and then bind down, getting progressively tighter. Now all we've got to do is just make a neatish head. Not that the fish will care, but just makes your fly look nice. Let's just build this up a little bit. Try and get a nice taper to it. Here we go. Okay, so if we just whip finish at this point. Okay, and then just to complete the fly, we'll just give that head a little coat of UV resin. Okay. So you can push some of that resin up into, just got a bit too much on there actually, up into where the where you've tied the eyes in. Just makes it all super secure. Okay, so if you just rotate that a little bit just to even it out, and then just blast it with your light. Only takes a few seconds. Okay, so that is the chartreuse and white clouser, probably the most effective saltwater fly that there is, whether you're destination fishing, UK fishing for bass, bonefish, absolutely anything. It's almost boring that it's so effective, you almost don't need anything else, but it's the chartreuse and white clouser.